All right, everybody, welcome to the Strasbourg Steve YouTube, and we're going to be covering the USMNT World Cup Qualifiers preview. So we got 3 USMNT games to look forward to. We got El Salvador Thursday night, and then on Sunday night we have Canada, and then Honduras on Tuesday. Is that about right, Aubie?
Wednesday.
Okay, all right. So cool. So anyways, so we'll be discussing that and some of the fraudulence on YouTube or not on YouTube, sorry, on Twitter of some people thinking that we should be aiming for 6 or 7 points compared to 9 because I have high standards for my teams, except Newcastle. They're fucking hopeless, but I can't stand talking about that. What's going on, Aubie? How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm ready for these games. Been excited all week, so there's been a lot of drama surrounding it, but I'm excited to hop into it after last cycle. Chance to prove ourselves.
There is always drama, especially on USMNT Twitter. It's almost as bad as like Man United's Twitter with all those fucking fans and whatnot. But I digress. So anyways, we're gonna take a little look at what exactly Mr. Berhalter has called up for the squad. So here's the thing. I like the squad for the most part, and it's obviously a huge disappointment that Mr. Christian Pulisic is day to day and Stefan didn't travel with the team. But like we were talking about earlier, Aubie, we got to get 9 points. That should be the expectations of this. Am I wrong? Am I expecting too
not
much?
At all. I mean, there's other windows where I can understand us saying, listen, 6 or 7 points is maybe good here, but I think this is going to be one of our easier windows. So I think 9 points is really the only expectation we can have.
Yeah, and obviously this is just going into it. Like, who knows? We could get dicked over by a ref, and then we get a red card undeservedly, and then we've got to defend a lead or defend a draw or whatever the hell happens. But going into these games, this is it's just not good. Our team has plenty of talent, young and experienced, and other individuals. Like we've got the players to get 9 points out of these games. I mean, what do you think is going to be the hardest game out of these 3? I'm going to go for the Canada game because Canada have given us plenty of trouble over the last few meetings. It wasn't comfortable, I would say.
Mm-hmm. I think it really depends on how Canada decides to line up. I've heard there's a possibility they might say, we're going to ditch the points against the US and focus on our other 2 games. But if Canada comes with their strongest squad, that's got to be our hardest game of the window, even though it's at home. Canada's the 3rd best team. They've got a lot of talent. They've got a few holes, but they're just having a good day. They could give us some trouble. So.
Yeah, exactly. And the other thing is too, the only team that I am honest to God, like not even scared of, but that I am a little skeptical, I suppose, on we shouldn't be expecting to beat them is Jamaica. But the thing is with Jamaica is that they won't have their full strength squad for 2 out of the 3 games, which if I was a Jamaican fan, I'd be extremely pissed off about. I would be livid, honestly.
So you're more worried about Jamaica than Mexico?
Yeah, I think Mexico are honestly.
Okay. I respect that. I haven't heard that before.
It's not a rivalry thing. It's just I've watched them play. Like, I don't know if you saw the game against Trinidad. As soon as Irving Lozano got stretchered off in that freak accident, they were useless. They were rudderless. They had no creativity. Hector Moreno was trying too much, and it was just all too simple for Trinidad to handle. I wasn't impressed by Mexico. I think Jamaica have if this Jamaican team doesn't make the World Cup, that'd be a real bummer for them because they have depth all around, and that Mikel Antonio, you could make a real argument that he is potentially now the best striker in CONCACAF.
Absolutely, yeah.
I mean, he's Premier League proven, all-time Premier League leading goal scorer for West Ham. He's physical. He's athletic. The goal against Leicester, where his first touch was over him, and it was creative finishing. It's improvisation. It was not improvisation. Well, no, an improv finish. Like he came up with it in
like
the
instinctual
moment.
A bit.
Instinctual. Yeah, that's a much better word. But anyways, enough chat about Jamaica, but they're a good team, and they're honestly, and I even think Canada are more of a threat than Mexico. I think this juice is gone, especially since Tata Martino is still there.
I don't know if I'm willing to commit to that, but I definitely see the perspective because Mexico's they've really struggled this summer, and you can tell they're not really going in an upward trend. So we'll see. They could be in real trouble. It depends if Jimenez can give them a boost or not. But if Jimenez comes back, can't produce what he used to produce, they're in real trouble of making top 3.
And that's the other reason why, because he hasn't been bad for Wolves this year, but he still has to get up to speed, I would argue, after that really, really pretty traumatic injury. That was horrible to watch, but he still needs some time, and that's fair. You can't blame him. That could be potential brain damage. You never know. So we'll give Raul Jimenez a benefit of doubt, but yeah. So we'll move on to. So what do you think of this? What do you think of this roster? We'll start off with the goalkeepers. This is probably
overall. Just real quick, I think it's a lot like a lot of the rosters we've been seeing where we're really happy with a lot of it. Like, obviously,
yep.
I mean, I'm hard on Berhalter, but at least he's not one of these managers that, half the roster's not there and it's a real huge controversy. Just the managers that have absolutely no idea what they're doing. So it's good that there's at least that, but I feel like that's a pretty low bar for where the program wants to be, especially after last cycle. And it's just every time it's just enough to make you go, I like this roster, except for these 1 or 2 things. And, you're not sure if those 1 or 2 things could end up costing points somewhere. So.
Yeah, you're on the money, man. Like the goalkeepers, I don't have a problem with any of those 3 there. So I think Greggy has got that. He's got that spot.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It's actually really difficult, honest to God, to pick 1, 2, and 3. Like because they are 3, I would say, excellent goalkeepers, to be honest. Like they all, I mean, I've gotten to see the New England Revs about 4 or 5 times this year, and Matt Turner has pulled off worldies in almost all those games. And it's not just that, he's getting slightly better at his play out from the back and stuff like that. And he'll get it to Buchanan, and there are so many goals where it would just start out with Turner, Buchanan runs up, or Brandon by, then you give it to Gustavo Bo. So he's getting a little bit better at that. And then Stefan, obviously, I would like to see more game time, but it's understandable when you're at Man City. But as a backup, and he usually does a good job when he's a backup. I still think he's a pretty good goalkeeper. And then Horvath, we know, and all 3 of these guys are tested in big moments too, and they've all won us trophies one way or another. So I don't really have any complaints about the goalkeepers, and I really don't know what I would have the order in.
Yeah, I agree with you for the
it's,
most part.
If one of these guys, I don't really care who the starter is necessarily.
Mhm.
I don't know. Who would you start against El Salvador?
Well, it's not really up to us. I'm not sure if you heard, because it just recently happened, but Berhalter confirmed that Turner's actually going to start El Salvador.
Oh, okay. And you know what? Props to him, because I think Matt Turner has proved that, and he's had a lot of game time too. That's the other thing why I would I side with Gregg on that, I guess. Because he's had consistent game time at the Gold Cup this whole summer, consistent game time with the New England Revs, and has been excellent and part of the best MLS side so far, I would say. Definitely, a little bit ahead of Seattle. But yeah, I would say Turner, but yeah, the one thing I don't like about that though is, like, why are you announcing your starting goalie the day before the game starts?
Yeah, it's a bit concerning for sure.
Why?
Well, I think we saw it during was it the Nations League, where he essentially confirmed what our starting 11 would be.
Yeah.
Or it had been leaked to a news outlet or something, and that's not something you want to do 24 hours beforehand.
This looks so unprofessional and so
well, and also it gives the team time to adjust, because there's I think a lot of what's good about the USMNT for this cycle is we have a lot of depth, a lot of options. So even if we don't have someone like Pulisic available, we have 3-4 wings behind him that can all bring very different things. So when you go and you confirm there's a certain person going to be starting, they can kind of narrow in on the strategy they want to take.
Plan.
So
game plan,
yeah, it's just, I mean, we should still be able to be fine. It's not that big of a deal, but it's just, in World Cup qualifiers, it could come down to every little thing, and you don't want to be giving away that edge. So
yeah, 100%. Yeah, I'm on board with you on that, but whatever. If Gregg gets us to the World Cup and we win the fucking World Cup, he can tell France and Italy and all these fucking teams what breakfast he's eating, So we'll let the players on the field and his tactical decisions, we'll let that do the talking. But yeah, Gregg, cut the shit. Anyways, we'll go with defenders. Why is Tim Ream here? I don't like starting out on the negatives, but what has Tim Ream done lately to warrant a spot? You couldn't tell me that you could have given that to someone like, I don't know, Eric Palmer Brown or something. Maybe Cameron Carter Vickers. I don't love Carter Vickers, but I still think he's pretty decent. I don't know, just give it to a younger player or someone, maybe. I don't know how you feel about Aaron Long, but I think Aaron Long is a better option than Tim Ream.
Is Long still injured though? I believe he is.
Oh, that's a good point. A good point.
See,
I don't think about these things. So keep me grounded. I appreciate that. But I don't know why Tim Ream is in this.
Yeah, I mean, we'll get into this later, but we have 5 midfielders here, and I would have liked to see more depth there. I don't think it's necessarily important to have 6 center backs, but yeah.
Because we got 2 left backs and 2 right backs, I believe, from what this looks like. Yeah, because Yedlin
and Dest on the right, and then Bello and Robinson are on the left.
Yeah. Yeah, and it would honestly be really cool if we had a Reece James type of player where he could play as a right-sided center back, but right back, or a left-sided center back as a left back, something like that. That would be kind of cool. So if the Lord and Jesus Christ wants to whip up one of those kids and have him born in Mexico, and then he switches over to the U.S., that would be amazing. But but I like for the most part, I like these defenders. Mark McKenzie's pretty promising. Serginho Dest has been all right for Barcelona this year, no problems. John Brooks, I think, has been one of the standouts, early standouts in the Bundesliga for defenders so far. He's kept a clean sheet against VfL Wolfsburg. That was a brawl. That was a very, very physical game, and he was a part of that Leipzig. He was part of keeping the door shut on Leipzig. So I've been impressed by Brooks. Bello, great prospect. Didn't have, it was kind of weird in the Gold Cup because he was in some games and then he had a long time out, I believe, and then he started the final, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he did.
Yeah, so
he did pretty well.
Yeah, he did. It's just odd.
Yeah, I think Vines might have been here had he not just recently moved over to Europe, because Vines has been more of a favorite. But
get settled in your new club. That's understandable, but yeah, Vines is I like Vines, but yeah, that you're right. If he didn't have that club situation where he just moved, he probably would have. But I'm not really worried about. Well, the most worrying thing is Tim fucking Ream. It really is. He's slow. He's slow. And in the championship for Fulham, he's got caught lacking a few times.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just so I don't know what Gregg sees in him. Maybe he's a leader. Mm-hmm. Why not you just have him on the bench and be the leader there, like you did with what's his name, Brad Guzan?
Yeah.
Locker room influence, or whatever you want to call it.
And I mean, that's the kind of thing where we listed 26 guys to take, but we're allowed up to 30. If you have locker room guys, why not have them fill up the rest of those spots, So
that's
bizarre.
It's
definitely a weird.
That's a bizarre decision.
It's not to disrespect Tim Ream either. Like, he's challenged himself in Europe and he's been decent over his career. I mean,
but he's old.
It's just
he's old now,
his time's over. So it's not like calling him out and saying he's a terrible player or anything.
I hope he proves me wrong.
Maybe shouldn't be.
He proves me wrong, and I hope he's part of getting us to the World Cup if he's going to continue on the World Cup qualifying roster. I don't wish any of these guys on here or the coach bad, harm or ill will or failure or any of that. I support them.
Mm-hmm.
I love them because they represent the red, white, and blue, and I just have questions, and then if I get answers, then I'll reevaluate, But anyways, midfielders, kind of surprised on how light it is, but then I kind of see that we have some versatility because it's kind of confusing because sometimes you don't really know in these formations with wing backs if they're supposed to be left backs or left wing backs or left midfielders. But luckily we have a lot of versatility on this side, I would say. Like George Bello, good example there because he primarily Atlanta United plays as a left back. At least that's where I've seen him the most. But then I believe he started the not the Nations League final, the Gold Cup final as a midfielder. As one of the deep lying sixes or something like that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was something like that where Bello started.
Maybe I'm not too sure.
Yeah. But I know I definitely think he started in the midfield in the World Cup final. But so there's some versatility to this, so I guess I shouldn't really be too concerned about 5 midfielders. I actually don't mind Kellen Acosta, and again, it's because I like the fact that he psychologically fucks with the other team. and you were just talking about with Gregg announcing the starter. It's these little things. It's these little things that you need to get going for you to qualify for the World Cup, because we got to take this seriously. And so I think it's a nod to Kellen Acosta and his ability to do that, because these players like Luis Suarez, he'll get under your freaking skin And Diego Costa at Chelsea, for example, like he'll get under your skin, he'll piss you off, and then he's gonna get, because sports are a psychological thing, and especially for something big like World Cup qualifiers, where we know we have a lot of pressure on us, and Callum Acosta can, and and the other thing is too, it's not just that he plays mind games. That's one good thing, but he actually was pretty good in the Gold Cup. I thought he was all over the pitch, just like, sacrificing his body, and it's a deserved call up, I would say. I don't know how you feel about it, but
I absolutely agree. And I mean, I know Acosta is somebody that we weren't quite as happy with during the earlier camps when we were having our first friendlies with this new team. He was a little inconsistent. He'd have a good half, and then the second half against Jamaica, he plays a part in us conceding that goal. But I mean, he has a great mentality. Anytime I've heard quotes about him, like it's always been spot on, and it's kind of surprised me because he's not a lot of these, not trying to say everybody's like this, but a lot of the MLS older guys tend to have an ego about stuff sometimes and kind of look at themselves as stars and hate criticism. And Acosta's just one of those guys that he seems really humble and eager to get after it. I think after one of the camps, he said, these European guys are like some of these young kids, like they're just on another level, and I want to challenge myself. And that really shocked me. So, I mean, with that and his performance in Gold Cup, I'm completely happy to have him there. Even if there's people that I might want to see at the 6 to also get a test. But Taylor Booth's another one that I get why he's not here, but at the same time, I would have liked to get a look at him. But I'm completely fine with Acosta being here. So
until I think it's Acosta's spot to kind of lose, because he has proved that he is an advantage. When he's on the field, he's part of the reason why we win. And the thing is that his performances will, if they translate against the Mexico, if they work against the Mexico A team, then you should be able to perform against the other teams below them in CONCACAF. And that's no disrespect to El Salvador. They're just not as good as Mexico, even though Mexico, I think, are a wounded animal right now. They're in a bit of I still don't know how they fired Tata Martino kind of thing, and pressure's going to be really on them. But I think Acosta definitely deserves to be there. And then obviously, I'm not a huge fan of Christian Roldan. I think he's okay. I don't know. What are your thoughts on Roldan? He's good. He's good. He's good for the Seattle Sounders, but they play completely different from the U.S.
Yeah, no disrespect to him, but I think he's had plenty of looks with the national team, and you kind of have to look at other options. I get why Luca De La Torre wasn't called in, kind of declining that, and then declining the Gold Cup, then his whole reasoning was he wanted to go to Heracles, be in preseason, and have a good few games before World Cup qualifying to get a spot on this team. He went over there, and he's not necessarily played bad, but he's not played amazing either. So that's the risk he took. So I can't complain about that, but I do think Julian Green should have been here. It's kind of surprising not to see him here.
I agree.
I thought he'd be here for sure. Being in the Bundesliga, he's been playing well. So it's just one of those one or two things about the roster that I've talked about. It's like every time it's like, why does that happen? What's that decision there? So,
and it's up to these players to prove us wrong, and the coach for why he picked these players. And again, I'll reiterate, because I don't want USMNT fans or anyone else coming after me because you think I've got an agenda. No, I just want the best players, and I'll root for them and all that. And I hope Leggett somehow becomes this player that some people hype up, and I just don't see it. I really don't. And I hope Gregg has learned a lesson from a certain Mr. Massimiliano Allegri, don't try Weston McKennie as a fucking 10. Just don't do it. Because he's atrocious.
I don't think we'll have any problems with that with the Gregg Dual 8 system. But who knows? Maybe he lines up with 2 10s.
Yeah. Yeah, no, because he really did. He struggled big time against Empoli on Saturday. I mean, the whole Juventus team was the whole front, the defense was okay, set up, fine, goalie, whatever. But that front six from the midfield onto it was all wrong. It was all wrong.
Yeah, it was just really poorly managed.
I don't know what Allegri was thinking. It was bizarre. It was just bizarre. And I mean, Weston McKennie, like, when has he played as an attacking midfielder ever? Really? He just
he's a box-to-box midfielder. That's what he is, and he can provide some technical ability, some being able to see certain runs, make certain plays off the ball. But he's not an attacking midfielder. He's a box-to-box midfielder who can give you some attacking support, but that's just not his main role.
You can't rely on Weston McKennie to link up play and stuff like that. He'll do other things for you. He's a pit bull in defense because his attitude and mentality and all this stuff. It's elite stuff. That's why he's at Juventus. And that's why, European clubs are, going to be very interested in him if he sells out. Not Burnley. Burnley won't be in for McKennie. I can't believe that rumor actually was spread by someone. But midfield. I'm fine with the midfield, I guess.
I don't know. that's my biggest problem. But
it's my biggest problem too. But hopefully these guys can prove us wrong. Roldan and Lletget. I mean, I'm not looking forward.
And it'll also be interesting to see, how do they perform with Adams, because Adams just changes this whole team. So we'll see. Maybe they play better with Adams there. I don't know.
Yeah,
I'm giving them a lot of benefit of the doubt, but
Adams is a game changer because, like I was discussing earlier with you guys, like this kid burst onto the scene with Red Bulls 2 in 2016, and then got his first MLS start that same year, and then next year he was part of the first team and was a regular and was captain. And the early Tyler Adams, he was barking orders to people, veterans of MLS. He has incredible leadership qualities. I think definitely future USMNT captain, stuff like this. I'm very, very impressed with Tyler Adams, and he makes players better around him. But we'll move on from the midfielders. Forwards. Happy about Pepe. I'm very happy about Pepe, and it was especially it was quite satisfying. It was actually very satisfying. No, it was tremendous to rub it in the faces of Mexico fans that they missed out on Pepe. Now let's hope that he actually, pulls through, and that it's not just it's not just a prospect with high ambition, high potential, but doesn't live up to it.
Yeah, but I think he's got everything to succeed. So it's really early. He's only 18, but we'll see.
I mean, like we were talking about before we started recording this. I mean, FC Dallas Academy and their partnership with like North Texas SC and Bayern München. They're a smart club, especially with the academy and stuff like that. I mean, I'm very impressed with what I've seen from Pepe so far. I don't want to put too much weight on the kid's shoulders, but I think he'll take it in stride. We'll see how he does. But and then some other things to touch up on. I mean, Pulisic, cool. We got him there. He'll probably be out. He's day to day. Gio Reyna, I would have rather seen him listed as a midfielder, to be honest.
I actually think he will be still. I'm not going to get into the quote from Berhalter because I'm not going to. We're trying to recap the World Cup qualifiers, not talk about those quotes, but he was talking about how verticality would be a challenge. And I won't get into that argument, but he was talking about Conrad and Aronson being there. And he didn't mention Reyna, which is very interesting and may indicate that he does see Reyna as a midfielder this window. So
I mean, if Berhalter's tuned in to ESPN Plus to watch the Bundesliga, he would have seen Reyna. I mean, it was overall just capping off some Dortmund games. Like the one against Freiburg was just a very bad team performance in general. The Eintracht Frankfurt game, he was blistering, real good stuff from the whole team and Reyna. And then their most recent game was what was their most recent game? Shoot. Why do I forget that, man? What was it? Who did they just play on the weekend?
Let me check.
Who did they play? Oh, don't tell me. No, they played. Who did they play? I don't know why I'm forgetting this.
They just played Hoffenheim.
Damn it. Yeah, Hoffenheim. Tremendous game. 3-2. Holland last-minute winner after Hoffenheim thought they stole some points. Yeah, that was a great game. But, yeah, that's an interesting comment from Berhalter talking about left wingers and then saying only Aronson and Del Fuente. Hopefully, Reyna gets in as that 8, I would say, and yeah, I'm excited about this. And then Tim Weah, I think he's going to get a huge role at Lille this year, and that's going to be a lot of pressure, which could be a good thing or a bad thing. It's a good thing for a player who has that mentality to handle it. And then Sargent is obviously going to be at Norwich, and they're going to be fighting at relegation. He had 2 goals against Bournemouth in their 6-0 absolute fucking beatdown of Bournemouth in that Carabao Cup game, 6-0. So that's good for him. Get some goals. Any goals that gets confidence. Strikers thrive on that kind of thing. Jordan Pefok, I really don't have a problem. Sibachu, I call him. I don't know why everyone calls him Pefok, but I just go with Sibachu. But I like Sibachu personally. I really don't know who would my starting 9 be for the game against El Salvador. We'll just have to see, but it's a tough call. It's a tough call for who I would put in as that 9 and all this stuff. But anyways, so yeah, I'm looking forward to the game. Now, what would your ideal starting 11 be?
Well, Turner's in goal for sure. Turner's in goal for sure.
So we have to, yeah.
As we know. Actually, for the formation, I actually don't think it's going to be a 4-3-3. I was thinking that beforehand, but Jake from FIFA America, who people may know, he did a great video today. It's only about 7 to 8 minutes just detailing El Salvador's defense during the Gold Cup, and their organization is absolutely dreadful. They leave either massive gaps between the center back and the fullback, or the fullback tucks completely in. There's a frame that I took a picture of earlier where he was pointing out the 4 defenders of El Salvador pretty much within the arc in front of the goal box, and out wide there's a winger making a run right in against Qatar, and it's like that should absolutely be exposed. So I think that I've never really loved Berhalter's wings being more cut in, and we have midfielders all kind of impacting this.
Inverted, essentially. Yeah. Too central.
Yeah, we have too many players in that same space, but I think this is actually one game where that's going to work miracles, because if we can push everyone infield, they're just going to collapse in, and Dest and Robinson making those runs through it. Yeah, exactly. It could get bad. So I think it'll be a 3 at the back, so 5 defenders, and I think so. I think it will
3-4-3 or however you want to call it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I think, as I said, Destin Robinson would be there, but we'll see. I'm not sure because I think he wants to have a little bit of rotation in there, so it'll be interesting. But I think Destin Robinson plays such a big role in this game that I would want to have him there.
Yeah.
Did you want to do by position or just the whole thing? And
Don't
then
matter.
you do
You
the
could,
whole
yeah. You could do your ideal starting 11. Yeah,
So
Love
center
it.
backs, I think it'd be nice to see a Mackenzie Brooks Robinson.
Yeah, I would go
lineup.
with that too.
Just
Now,
you
would you want Brooks in the middle of that?
I do want Brooks in the middle of that because I think Mackenzie and Robinson are both guys that can play on that isolation or in a retreat almost. They're a little bit more athletic, and Brooks can kind of control from the middle. So
yeah, and that was my logic for it too, because and also Brooks he's not Tim Ream slow, but he's not exactly lights out quick. But the thing is with Brooks is that 9 times out of 10, if he gets caught lacking, he always recovers pretty well and he makes up for his mistakes, or it just doesn't even happen because he's a smart player. And I think ever since he realized that he could be like a Champions League quality center back, which he now is because the VfL Wolfsburg are in the Champions League in a pretty interesting group. I think he stepped his game up, especially from Hertha Berlin. So I'm excited to see how Brooks does. He's one of my favorite players easily. I love Brooks. But yeah, I would agree with you on that. So what you have?
And then
Sands, Brooks, Robinson, you said, or was that?
I said Mackenzie.
Mackenzie,
Brooks, Robinson.
Okay. That's 3 at the back. Yep, right.
Mm-hmm. I think Sands, we'll talk about it later, but Sands may jump into a rotation in a 3 at the back in the Canada or Honduras game. I don't know. It's kind of hard to work him in because I kind of feel like he's the player you would sub in, but you can't really do that with center backs. So we'll see. Mm-hmm. But hopping into the midfield because there's 2 there. I think it's going to be McKennie and Adams. At least that's what I do because I would want to start strong in this game versus El Salvador, and I think
And then if you're winning by 4-0 at halftime, you can sub off players or whatever.
Yeah,
you still have to keep that intensity up because you don't want to piss off El Salvador and then piss away 3 points. Yeah, but yeah, I know what you mean. You gotta start strong, show some intent, show respect to your opponents. Don't give them a reason to want to beat you even more by throwing out a weak lineup, that sort of thing. Yeah. And
then as for my wings, I'm going to have Reyna on the right, although I think he's more of a midfielder for this camp. I think this game, just because we're going to play that double pivot there, and I want McKennie and Adams there. And like I said earlier, we want midfielders that are going to tuck in, that Reyna will be fine. And I really want him on the field for pretty much all 3 of these games. So I think that's just where he fits for now. And then he'll move into the midfield in a Canada or Honduras game, I would say. But I'd have Reyna, and then on the other side, you could really go with either Conrad or Aronson. Either of them would work.
If you had to pick, it is tough because Brendan Aronson has had more games, and he's had 2 Champions League games where he scored in both, I believe, right? Yeah. So scored in both.
And I would probably, if I had to pick between the 2, go Aronson on this one.
Right.
Just because, like Reyna, he kind of is used to a more inside role.
Yeah.
And we want to leave those wings open for Robinson and Des to get over. So I'd probably play Aronson, but really either way.
Yeah, and also the other thing is, sorry.
No, you're good.
I was just gonna make this quick point. Like Aronson doesn't strike me as a super quick player, and obviously Conrad is he's the lightning bunny. He's got lots and lots of energy. Doesn't really, sometimes he'll kind of like slow up and like kind of just stand around. But then as soon as he gets on, he bolts. He's quick with the ball at his feet too, which is something. It's a very underrated skill. But yeah, I would tend to, like we've got pace, like you said, with Destin Robinson. So I would probably agree because Aronson, we could put him on the left and be more the creative and the goal scoring winger, that sort of thing. And, and then if the game does, and if, we could bring on Conrad and then he'll have energy for days. And then if El Salvador just burnt the fuck out, then he'll just toast them. And whether we're 1-0 up or 2-0 up, then we can just, kill that game off, hopefully. So I actually would probably agree with you. And I'd probably like to see him Conrad start on against Canada, but yeah, you're right. Either one, I couldn't mind. I like your Aronson pick though, and then kind of like my Conrad strategy because that is valuable to have players off the bench subbed off. Sub on a guy with some pace, and that he's just gonna cut right into your defense, and he's gonna test whoever's there. And especially if you're leaving wide open gaps and you're tired, you're gonna concede goals. So, yeah.
And I also think it'd be good for Conrad to sub on, get a little bit of experience against El Salvador, and then him and Pulisic could start the Canada game and be more of those
if he's healthy
vertical wingers. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And then as for a striker, I'm probably going to go with Sargent, just because, like I said, we need people that can play inside and then play out to the wing for Dest Robinson to get through there. And I think Sargent just works best for that. I think that'd be an early sub for me, though. If we can get a goal or two, throw Pepe in there for 45 minutes, get him used to it. So,
yeah, I would agree because Sibachu is more of that target man type of striker, and I don't really want to be seeing too many long balls and stuff like that into here. I wouldn't. Yeah, in this game probably not, but you never know. It could all depend on the situation. If El Salvador, force us almost into crossing the ball, and we need some player to hold it up. Sargent is okay at that, but Sibachu is ideal for that sort of thing, and. He's not my number one USMNT striker right now, but I like Sibachu. I like Sibachu. But yeah, I would tend to agree. I'm not as huge on Sargent as other people are. It's not like a huge like disparity. I just don't rate him as like if people rate him an 8 out of 10, I'm probably like 7.5. I'm a little. He's a tiny bit. Tiny bit overhyped. It's not by much. I want to see more end product from Josh Sargent, and I want to kind of see some more intensity and stuff like that. But he's not a bad player. So, and I'm not going to be pissed off if he starts. But yeah, I would, and also tend to agree with the early sub sort of thing, because then, like I said, if you're going to bring on. If we're gonna sub up, let's say we're up 2-0 or 3-0, and bring off Sargent, bring on a, Sibachu, who could just batter that defense with physical play, hold up play, and then get Conrad running in, and he could score. So that it's interesting. It's an interesting dynamic, but so that's an interesting starting 11. Mine probably wouldn't differ much from yours initially. But yeah, no, I'm excited. Now who do you look out for on this El Salvador side, really? Who?
I mean, I think this is one of those teams where you don't really have, there's this player, to watch out for. It's more of just the system they play that can make them dangerous. I really don't know if there's any players that stand out. I know Alex Roldan has been talked about a lot, but
yeah,
I mean, it's hard to say like, we really have to watch out for Alex Roldan, I think it's just a team that plays a good system. So
yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, looking at it, Joaquin Rivas, I'm kind of familiar with. He's okay. Plays for Tulsa. Yeah, Alex Roldan, a right back. Eric Zavaleta, I'm not really scared of at all, actually. I think he's kind of a really, really underwhelming player. I'm not exactly scared of him. Yeah, I'm not really that impressed, to be honest. I mean, but like you said, their system can, it can work a treat sometimes. But yeah, I would probably say rolled on just because I don't really, it's not that great of a team, but that's the thing that's going to make this game tough is because they're going to be at home. It will be later at night, so we won't have the blistering heat like we usually would. And I'm not sure if El Salvador fans have any fans at their games or not. But if they do, they'll try to make it difficult. It's Honduras
El
a red
Salvador is
zone?
going to be at, or are you talking about Honduras home game?
Oh, sorry, El Salvador. Jesus Christ.
Or, okay. El Salvador is going to have 97% attendance, I think.
97.
So pretty much a sellout.
That's so stupid. Why would it be 97? Why can't you just say 100?
I don't know. I think the numbers at the time were just 97.
That's odd.
But it'll be pretty much sold out.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's cool. At least there's going to be an atmosphere. I can't do these games with no fans anymore. I really can't. It really just it's hard to do. But yeah, I you got any score predictions?
I know a lot of people are really hesitant. Like I said, I think this is a game we need to win.
No. It's not a game. Well, it is a game we need to win, but you think we will?
Yeah, I do think we will. But I know a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's going to be close because it's a game on the road. It's our first game of World Cup qualifiers." But I think this is honestly going to be a 4-5-0 game. I think we're going to get one, and it's just going to start kind of collapsing for El Salvador.
The flood will burst. I see what
especially if Berhalter attacks that wing back open space. So yeah, if he can look at that and start to expose it, I really don't see how El Salvador keeps the score low.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you, but then again, also these road games are very tricky because of the fans being that 12th man, and sometimes Greggy Poo is a little bit too conservative, and he kind of lets teams hang around in games for a bit too long for my liking, and that might continue tomorrow, and I think it will. I think it will. So I'll go. I think. I'll probably take 2-0 US. If I were to put a bet on a scoreline, God, I would probably say 2-0 US. I think Conrad will find his way on the score sheet, and I think who do I think will score? I think we'll score a header. I think we'll go for a Brooks header and a Conrad goal. Because like we were talking about the other day, like the whole system at Marseille, like the wingers can score goals. Like they're meant to be. It's like they're inverted wingers strikers. It's very odd. It really is because they like Cengiz Ünder is scoring a lot of goals for a winger this early in the year. Like usually wingers aren't relied on to score this many goals. Usually that's the striker's job. But so and I think Conrad's done a great job of that. He hasn't scored yet for Marseille out on that left wing, but I think Conrad will. I think he'll find his way in the score sheet. So I'll go 2-0 because it will be kind of difficult. I kind of see this. I see this being a very scrappy first half because El Salvador, like this game is gonna be very, very CONCACAF-y. Dirty fouls, punched in the nuts, this very aggressive, chippy, any kind of super.
I mean, we're not even one game into it, and we're already hearing about the CONCACAF. Did you hear the Honduras media accusing Canada of using drones to spy on their practice? So games haven't even started, and CONCACAF is already
And
up
Honduras
to it.
is already bitching. Next thing you know, it'll be Mexico crying foul about something. So, anyways, thank you to Mr. Aubie Anderson. I love having you on the channel, man. A very, very realistic and very very down to earth USMNT fan. I consider myself one too, and not one of these lunatics on Twitter. But yeah, no, it was good having you on, man. Yeah, and thanks everyone for watching. Like, share, subscribe, any of that. It's all appreciated.